Adil sir, I think to be in conversation with you is honestly, I think privilege is perhaps an understatement. It's just incredible to actually have you on Filme Shilmy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolute pleasure, Anuj, to be here, Filme Shilmy. And what I heard about you, that you are a junkie and a cinephile. So nothing better can happen for an actor to talk to someone who is aware of, films and all that. So it's great.
Right, right. Thank you so much, sir. So, I mean, last year to begin with, it was incredible because we got to see you as a Starfleet officer, Star Trek Discovery, and then obviously you played a rickshaw driver who strives to get top education for his son in Pariksha, which is a film which I really, really loved from last year. I mean, how was your experience sort of playing two sort of different characters? I mean, obviously, I know you probably shot them at different times, but the fact that they're both released within the same year, it must have been quite a pleasant surprise for you as an actor, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I consider myself very lucky as well to be cast in different kinds of roles. But I worked hard on that in two different ways. One is that I refused to be typecast, first of all.
Right.
Uh, they tried their best. Bollywood tried their best, I must say. you know, because it is a human tendency to put you in a box, which is
Yeah.
nothing to do with anything else. I'm not blaming them. It's a normal human tendency to label you, and I know that. And I became an actor to be able to play different kinds of roles. So
Sure.
I put a moratorium of not playing a cop for 5 years after
Yeah,
I played cops
of course.
in a film. So that's and also the second thing that I was saying, that to be able to play very varied roles of different class background and emotional background, class background, economical class background, and all that.
Hmm.
I had been trained very well by my teachers, so the credit
Right.
goes to my teachers that I could shift and move from one to the other. Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of shifting and moving, you've recently wrapped up Footprints on Water, in which you play, I believe, an illegal immigrant. So, given that immigration, of course, is still a very, very rampant issue here in the UK, in
Yeah.
what way does your character and film address this? And how was your experience of working on it?
Oh, no, this is a very intense story written by Neeta Shyam and her sister, Natalia Shyam, who directed it and
Right.
produced by Mohan Nadar by headquarters, production headquarters. And I read the story. I met these two sisters who came to meet me while I was shooting for another film in the UK in August, in
Right.
September, called Bell Bottom.
Aha. Yes. 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 Akshay Kumar's one,
So
right? Yeah.
yes, yes. So I was shooting that, and I had few free days. So I was staying with my friend in Milton Keynes, and they came to meet me. These sisters, they narrated the story, and I read the script after that, and I was completely taken by the authenticity of the story and the organicity of the story. And I realized that it's a very important story to be told to the world, because very few people know what's the kind of the plight and the situation and the predicaments that
Yeah.
these people go through, dreaming for a huge better life in the UK or in the Western countries, and what they actually end up doing,
Sure. Yes.
and how they face the immense struggle, which I thought very well written, and very well directed as well. But I have to see the film when
Mhm.
all come together, and I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
No, definitely. And I'm looking forward to it too, because I think we've had a few Bollywood films which address this subtly. Like you've had Street Dancer 3D of recent, and then I think before that we had
Mm.
Namaste England, which also sort of touched on illegal immigration, especially of South Asians within the UK. But
Mm.
I feel
Mm.
like there's not been a film or a content that's entirely dedicated to that. I think it is very
Mm.
important to bring out these stories because it's obviously
Mm.
um a story of hope in some way, as well as kind of
Yeah,
disappointments
yeah.
and very hardship as well that they have to face,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a story very realistically told, unlike Bollywood films, because Bollywood films generally
Yeah.
that is their genre. So I am I'm totally I totally understand that.
Hmm.
But as you might have seen me in films which are much more realistic and much more layered and complex. Very rarely that I get to read those scripts. So when I get one, I do it.
Right.
So this one is very realistic, and it has touched upon so many aspects of the lives of undocumented immigrants in the UK
Uh-huh.
and what goes on with them and the kind of monstrosity which happens as well as their emotional torture and struggle. It's a story of father and a daughter, and the father is undocumented immigrant as well as daughter and his wife. So and daughter goes missing, and of course he can't go to the police because he doesn't have papers. So
Of course.
how it's a very heart wrenching story, and I really hope that it all come together very well, and
Hmm.
people get to see it.
Sure. I mean, is it due for an OTT or digital release, or is it set to release theatrically?
It's very difficult to say as of
Yeah.
now because
Hmm.
they let the film come together, and we have good people on board, some
Fantastic.
Oscar winner as well, and
Oh,
so we are looking at to sort of to find other people, editors, and all that who are internationally reputed, and I hope that the film will be a good one for all of us to really look forward to.
oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I think just having a look at your sort of the characters that you've played over time, Adil, so I've kind of noticed how you actually really know how to capture the essence of a common man so effortlessly in your films. What are you most inspired by when you're essaying such characters, which are pretty much perhaps a man that you'd probably pass on the street?
I'm a common man. And I grew up. No, as I said, that I'm a lucky one, even to be born in a tiny little town, in somewhere in Assam, which is one of the most was and still is in so many ways backward states of the country, being sort of neglected by the central administration for 70 years. And the town that I was born in, called Gwalpara, where I used to get newspapers. My father used to say, okay, bring day before yesterday's newspaper as well. That means it takes 3 days for newspapers to arrive in our town. So it's a small town, but very beautiful. I didn't realize till I came to Delhi that I was actually,
Yeah.
on the river Brahmaputra, which has got, the greenery, and 200 meters from our home to my left, to the left is a big hill. And so, but at the same time, people were not like the rich people. We were like all lower middle class. My father was a teacher, so we struggled a lot for all sorts of things. And I have seen also the opulent people, and I mixed up with them. I studied in England. I met amazing people. So to be able to travel from most common person to the so-called
Celebrity life.
celebrity life, and to be able to move back and forth.
Right.
So yeah,
It's
that's, I
incredible.
guess, my strength.
Because I actually spoke with Nina Wadia recently as well. And I think because
Hmm.
she obviously had grown up in various different countries, I think I asked her
Yes.
this question as well. It's about how does one's surroundings and one's sort of culture and the sort of upbringing that they have in the different places that they are, how does that impact
Right.
the sort of work they choose or
You
sort
do.
of yeah. So I mean, has that? I mean, I would like to sort of pose that question to you. I mean, how has sort of that lifestyle that you mentioned, your life journey, how has that kind of impacted the style of work you decide to pursue?
Immensely. I think for me, I could vouch for some other actors as well, but definitely for me, I could say that the kind of life you lead reflects in your work.
Mhm.
And it's always I draw from my personal experiences. Always, even if I am playing Spider-Man, if I do play Spider-Man, and it will always be from my personal experience. Though I don't have an experience of flying across the New York buildings, but at the same time, I have flown in my dreams.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
but but apart from the flying part, the rest of Spider-Man, why I'm mentioning Spider-Man, I'll come to that, is about very human, is the human element,
Hmm.
which connects with the audience always.
Right.
And as I was pursuing to understand more and more and go deeper into the craft of or the art of acting, I had traveled across the country on my motorbike for 2 years just to introduce myself
Wow.
to different kinds of lifestyles, from metro to semi-metro to urban and semi-urban and village life and tribal village and all that I have lived.
Hmm.
And that has enriched my experience of depicting or exposed me to know people, the way they think, the way they behave and feel, and their worldview and all that. It's a very complex. Each and every human being is very complex. So to be
Yeah.
able to just get tiny sense of it, to be able to portray a little bit of it while I play a role is
Right.
is is all come. They all come from my personal experience.
Absolutely. That is so wonderful to hear that. Since you have been working in the industry for quite some time now, what have you discovered the most about yourself as a trained and seasoned actor?
Then I'm not only Adil, that I'm every aspect of every human being, emotional, psychological, um, um, all of it that you can describe a human being is within each and every human being.
Right.
So I myself, if I have to play Hitler or Jesus Christ, and both the aspects are there within me. Like, I'm just talking about the two extreme sides of the spectrum. You know,
Right.
Hitler, and here Jesus Christ, who could possibly forgive Hitler as he was being nailed onto the cross, and he said, "Forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do." So what I'm trying to say is that this is what I discovered, that
Mm.
we are all uh, everything in the universe is within this being,
Right. Yeah.
and we all have all qualities, all of it within us. And as dormant or sometime in very active state, depending upon your personal conditioning. But the journey of an actor, for me, what I have realized is that the journey is to go beyond the conditioning and find that which is universal and which is common amongst all beings, not only human beings, but all
Mm.
sentient beings. And we can access that at any given time, provided you are trained well.
Right. Mm.
So, in short, I can say that you become an empath because because I have to be deeply empathetic in order to play any role credibly.
Right.
So, and you empathize with everyone, regardless of their views, ideologies, worldviews, gender, and what have you, all of it.
Mm. Wow. Yes, and I think, but that process of, like you mentioned, you have to kind of search within, as you kind of just mentioned in the
Yeah.
response there. I mean, how does one necessarily do that as an actor? I mean, for you, it must take a lot out of you, as an artist to kind of do that, right? Because there's so much introspection involved, and perhaps a lot of thinking involved as well. So what is your process like in doing that?
I wish I could say this in a few minutes, but I guess um, one has to write few books if I have to really express it properly. Um,
Yeah.
it doesn't take anything out of me. As you
Mm,
have said, it takes a lot out of me, a lot out of you. No, it gives me, it fulfills me,
mm,
it restores me, it stabilizes me when I am introspecting, I'm reflecting, I'm, it gives me huge wisdom in order to be able to embody the other. And that other, as I said, could be a human being or anything, even inorganic things, even. So that's, I think, is a blessing because to be able to be in a in a field where my job description requires me to be empathetic,
right.
and
Mm,
so I'm not nothing is taken out of me, nothing that I'm giving, it's all I'm receiving.
right.
And while receiving, because the flow of this reception is continuously on, you
Right.
know and that's how you are not stuck. It's a flux. It comes and you give, and more you give, if at all you're giving, more it flows, rather, not even giving. Because
Right.
giving has this arrogant thing that, oh, I'm giving away. Nothing like that whatsoever.
Mm,
To retain your humility, one must perceive this as receiving and let it flow.
okay.
More it flows, more it comes. That's the whole crux. I think that's the crux of the matter, is that one just has to be so much in gratitude in order to receive inspirations for a role
Mm,
and see the bigger picture, to be able to see the macro in and dwell in the micro aspect of life,
yeah.
and yet keeping the macro view at all times in your awareness, so that when you navigate as a rickshaw puller, as you have
Mm,
mentioned in Pariksha,
yes.
in the micro existence of the nitty-gritty of the nuances of his emotional struggle, his physical, his financial, all that. But as a practitioner of art, one has to keep the macro awareness all the time, that you
Mm,
are also being aware why this role is important, what is this role doing to the society, what is this
right.
role doing for the film,
Mm,
what is this role I'm playing which will resonate with human beings, and in the process will help the audience to empathize with people like these people who we generally don't look at, even we don't even recognize they exist. Like you have seen during the first phase of the lockdown, thousands, tens of thousands of people walked from the cities to their villages in
yeah.
India
Mm,
when the lockdown was announced.
yeah.
And we didn't care much. Yes, some people cared, but the administration did not care much.
Mm,
And upper class, middle class people, they're like, oh, okay, he works as my driver. He constructed my house, but that's it. That is this huge blindness that we practice
mm,
to
yeah.
recognize their contribution to the society. So if I can at least help myself and you, one person, to empathize with them, then my objective as a practitioner of art is done, is
Hmm.
fulfilled.
I'm glad you mentioned this because that was literally my next question. Because as I mentioned, believe you did do a lot of school plays when you were young. You were very much into the performing arts from quite a young
Yeah.
age. So given what you just said about, is a way to contribute back to society and back to the community. So is that what drew you to getting into acting in the first place?
No, in the beginning, no. It evolved in the process. Well, in the beginning, it feels that, we all are attention seekers. Most of us are narcissists anyways. And I did it thinking that that's what it is. But later, when I looked back, that what was the thing that still, keeps me going? And I realized that the first question I asked after I did my first play, and I asked my director that, oh, was it already 30 minutes? Because it felt like 5 minutes to me.
Mm.
So I didn't realize that. That was the most important thing. But the rest of the things which happened, like, people applaud you and they, point out the fingers to you. Oh, he's the guy who did this play, and, become a little popular in the school, and all that take over the very crucial thing, which was for me that at times stood still for me. And
Right.
but this realization came much later, that that was a thing, because attentions that you get, and you get bored of attentions after a point, say,
Yeah.
okay, please don't come to me, don't, let me eat in peace, don't ask for an autograph or a photograph. These days mostly it's selfie and all that. So what is it that makes me going with enthusiasm, and to go to work the next day? I wake up, I'm like, okay, let's do something, let's go and do today's shoot. And I
Right.
was watching myself while I was shooting in Birmingham for the Footprints on Water. I told my wife and kids, they were there, and I said, I feel like going right now. Let's do that scene. So, what is it that drives me to go to work with such enthusiasm? So,
Yes.
it is that continuous attitude of curiosity and exploration,
Right.
that okay, today I will be truer, little more, I'll be little more true today. Can I be more authentic today? Can I be more unashamed today? Can
Yes.
I be more, more gigantic, more wide?
Mm.
Can I be more empathetic towards my co-actor? Am I, so all that is the aspirations that I have within myself to fit into the bigger Adil, not
Mm.
arrogantly bigger, but the larger, wide-hearted Adil that I
Yes.
see myself as, living behind all my, smallness, my narrowness, my judgmental self, my, all that. So
Yes. And
that is the journey, I guess, which kept me going. Yeah,
and I also
or
believe
keeping me going.
I also believe, sir, that I think the sincerity that an actor brings to their role
Yeah.
and that wholeheartedness, it translates so much on screen. Like as an audience or when as a viewer, when you watch a performance, आपको पता चलता है कि कितना connect है और
जी.
कितना sincerity और शिद्दत के साथ वो एक actor perform कर रहा है. I think what you just said is so true, and I really um resonate with that as well. Even as a reporter, we kind of have to be whatever we do, we have to do it with full sincerity, right? Because otherwise, there's no point in doing it, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. For all people who actually work to do anything for that matter. If you clean the house, you're a cleaner. You can do it with so much of love, and
Yeah.
and you learn so much.
Mm,
But the trouble is that most of us, 90% of us, are not doing what we love to do. We are
mm,
doing things which we had been expected to do, or we ought to do sometimes. But
mm,
to be able to do what you love to do, and then to like what you do or to love what you do, there are two aspects of it.
mm,
One is to do what you love to do, and then that you graduate towards an understanding that the joy that you feel is within you. It's not because of it sort of comes masquerading as the work that you love to do. Like for me, it's acting. But then I realized that, oh, actually the feeling of joy is within me, and I am responsible for it. No matter what I do, I must love it.
mm.
Even if I'm cleaning or washing the dishes or cooking or looking after my kid. So that's the next phase. And
Right.
I hope that I reach there someday. That doesn't matter what I do, I would love it.
No, absolutely, yes. But I think coming a bit more, speaking a bit more about your career. I think the year 2012 arguably really was quite a game-changing year, as you obviously had English of English at that time, and you had Life of Pi. In fact, Life of Pi, I guess, in a way, catapulted you to a more international recognition as an actor, and gave you more, I
Right.
guess, mainstream sort of attention as well in that sense. What was life like prior to that, though, for you?
Well, I had always been acting and mostly teaching because acting on the stage did not fetch money at all.
Mm,
So I was busy teaching, and I don't yet know whether I love acting more or teaching. It's not the right word when you say teach acting, because I feel that that's not the word we should use, because
yeah,
you can't teach acting. You can help someone to learn. If that is
mentor,
called teaching,
right?
then yes, it is. Yeah, you guide, you become the work leader at the most, or you share, physically, and not only intellectual ideas, but actually physically. You share your things, and because each and every human being is so different, so each and
Mm,
every person needs different kind of work in order to let go of things which holds the person to express themselves fully with vulnerability, and 2012 had been a very, very important year for me. English was released on my birthday, and so this is good information for the next for the producers, my future producers, that if you release a film on my birthday, it becomes a hit. two films, two films, two films which released on my birthday became huge hits. Like What Will People Say is, which is a Norwegian
yes,
film, which
yes,
was
I've seen
released
it.
on my birthday, and it ran for 6 months in Norway. And English was released on my birthday, and which
Wow.
became it. So producers,
Yeah, release on Adil's
just
birthday to make sure you get
just
your success.
joking. Yeah. So yeah, Life of Pi, English that year had been, yeah. These two films definitely played a very, very important roles in my I don't like to call my acting thing as a career, because I believe this is my life. So your life cannot be
Sure.
your career.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it at all as a career. I don't have any strategy whatsoever. I just do what I feel like doing.
Mm,
And yeah, I choose films not because, oh, this will give me that platform or this platform. I choose because I love it.
mm,
And some films, as I have spoken before in different interviews, that some films I do sheerly for the money, because I need to subsidize my my
yeah.
involvement in smaller artistic films. Yeah.
Of course. No, yes, definitely. I think it's important to have a balance of both as well. I think sometimes in life you have to, unfortunately, you're sometimes
Yeah.
compelled to balance both. But I think also the fact that you have starred
Sorry.
in movies of various languages and you've been, I guess, the South Asian face in several international works. But how, I mean, even though
Right.
that's, which is incredible. I mean, it is outstanding. And I always am so happy to see you in a film of that sort of caliber. But I do think somehow there is still a lack of representation in the West. Would you agree with that? I mean,
Hmm.
what do you think can be improved in terms of the opportunities for South Asian and Indian artists in the West as well?
Oh dear, it's a question. I guess needs a lot of research, I think. But few things which generally come to my mind is that one is that a writer, there has to be roles which have to be written
Hmm,
for South Asian people.
hmm,
So as Western countries sort of look at South Asian community as a part of the mainstream fabric of the society, more and more roles are being written nowadays.
yeah,
And also the if the South Asian population in the Western countries, there are two kinds, at least as I have seen, because I've seen very little, but whatever I've seen that some people try to just stay with their own community and do not mix up with the community which existed before they came to that country.
Yeah. Mm.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That I think is a very important aspect why writers of from the previous the community which lived there before, if I may say, the English or the British people, the white British people or white Americans, they were there before we arrived. So they have to also recognize your contribution to the society. Unless the community, both the communities meet and they see each other, they empathize with each other, they understand each other, the writers, the white writers would not write you in
Yeah,
their stories.
exactly. Yeah.
You see, so, and I have seen ghettoism a lot, not
Okay.
because it is, I don't know who are the people I can't use the word even to the blame, but why that happened.
Hmm.
I've seen people try to stick together, like Indians would like to be with the Indians. They have their Indian community.
Hmm.
Even in Indian community, there will be a Tamil group, an Assamese group, and a
Yeah.
Bengali group, and all that Maharashtrians will stick to Maharashtrians. But there should be an effort from our side as well, the South Asian community, to really participate in the mainstream activities as in order to truly integrate oneself.
Hmm.
And the government on the other side, majority government, should also facilitate certain activities, organizations to let that happen.
Hmm.
There was a linguistic barrier in the first place. There's a barrier of cultural attitude. There are barriers which some of us have broken. You're broken most probably,
Yeah.
and quite often I have seen they're not broken.
Right.
That's why the reason that I stay away from Indians when I go abroad.
Right.
For the simple reason that I would like to know the country that I'm in
Hmm.
and what are their lives like. What are theirs? So I lived for 3.5 years in Amsterdam, and I didn't have a single Indian friend. I always mixed up with the white people because I wanted to understand their point of view about life and why they behave the way they behave. And
Hmm.
it gave me immense pleasure to tell you right now that all the things that we do not like about the Western attitude or culture or the customs, I
Hmm.
understood and I empathize with that.
Sure.
So the question that you asked me, the other part of the lack of representation, yes, I believe there is a lack of representation. The other is that those who are pursuing art in the Western countries, say UK or France or Germany,
Hmm.
from South Asian communities. Some of them have to go actively participate in artistic endeavors, they have to pursue commercial professionally. They have to go to drama school. They have to really learn how to act because most of the white actors, they are trained actors.
Hmm.
Only in India you can become a hero without any training.
Yeah. I think we
You
know
see
what
what I
word
mean?
that is. I think we've all kind of
No,
come to terms with it.
exactly. Exactly. So, and I just acted with this young actor called Antonio Akil. He's a
Yeah.
trained actor, and he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
And there are other actors who I have worked with who are from South Asian community. So, but the number of people, those who are going to schools, drama schools or art schools, they they have to pursue that career because Indians still believe, those who have left this country, say 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they still believe that we have to be doctor engineers, computer engineers, or lawyers. Art career, art to practice art is a very, very scary thing,
Hmm.
So I doubt that most people, most parents are allowing their children to even participate in this. Where would you find a good actor, even if you write a good role?
Right. Right. I,
We struggle to find good actors of all the ages when we did another film in the UK.
hmm.
You see what I mean? A dependable actor who can do any role of, say, my age
Hmm.
in the UK, there are very few.
Mm. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. So we have to face it. We have to face it. Yeah, we have to face it.
Incredible. Yes, no, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that film actually. That does
Sorry.
sound very interesting.
Yeah.
But also I think
Yeah.
I mean someone like yourself, Adil, so you're very dedicated and very passionate about what you do. And I think that definitely comes across. I think if not through this interview, then definitely through the work that you've had and are doing so far. But I feel like in a field like cinema and in a field like acting, I think generally as human beings, I feel like we all are in a race and in a rush to make it to mainstream.
Hmm.
Have you ever felt this burden? Have you ever felt kind of this pressure to kind of also be in this rat race to make it to the mainstream ever?
No, not at all. Never.
Hmm. And is
You
that
want
some?
to ask me why?
Yes. I was kind of waiting. I was like, oh my god, oh my god.
No, uh, because I somehow feel that very important for me is that I must be able to sleep at night properly.
Hmm,
And when I say properly, in a sense, without any medicine or alcohol or any kind of substances which will help me sleep,
hmm,
and for that, I need to be joyous. And for that, I need to be relaxed and without any stress.
right.
And so there is no race for me. I do not believe in race in the first place. I believe in doing and being in the projects, artistic endeavors. I would rather not use the word project, which is close to my heart,
Yeah.
and I look forward to go the next day to work, um, and not feel for a second what the hell am I doing here in the set.
Right.
So it is important for me to do that. So I don't, as I said, I don't look at it as a career. I don't look at it as a race. I look at it as my life, and I would like to lead my life, um, in my own way,
Hmm, hmm.
the way that I think is the best, depending upon whatever wisdom I have as of now.
Sure. Oh yes, no, absolutely, and I think that is something as well which everyone should also kind of, I think, adhere to as well. You should always be happy in whatever you do and find joy in that, and that's what will ultimately make you
Absolutely. Yeah.
happiest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think obviously the digital space has become the main sort of medium of content consumption due to the pandemic. Like I think OTT
Yes.
platforms were perhaps booming more than ever because of the fact that we were in a pandemic.
Yes.
I mean, what style of characters or works would you be keen on exploring as an actor, especially on these platforms?
I was talking to someone yesterday, I guess. I would love to do some, comedy.
I can imagine.
All kinds. Have fun. I've been sort of, now I can see that the other categorization which has happened to me is that the struggling father,
Oh,
emotionally
yeah.
wrecked, and I know I do it convincingly, but I should not be burdened with those characters only. While acting in this film, Footprints on Water, that's what I realized. I was like, why am I only cast in these roles where he's totally devastated?
Oh,
So I think I'm looking forward to do some, light roles and have fun, and also in the set, and
yeah.
laugh away to glory. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those kinds. I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind doing some action films as well, have fun with, but very well written ones, not
Yeah.
those, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Not one of those. Yeah, I get it. I get
Yeah, let's not
it.
talk about.
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally get it. But I think that's I think it would be wonderful to see you in that sort of an avatar. But I think on the final note, Adil, so I mean
Yeah.
planning in life is never, I mean, nothing ever works out 100% as we know. And I think with the pandemic,
Yeah.
things have only got more uncertain. But what would you say are your goals, your aspirations for this year and the near future, personally and professionally?
I have a few things which I haven't done yet. One is a play that I plan to do, and I'm practicing, working on it. It's a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. the Gita,
Oh,
uh,
lovely.
which is my dream project, and to play both the roles at the same time. And I don't know how to do that, but I have started working on it, so it's going very well.
Wow.
That is one thing that I would like to focus on totally as soon as I finish this one or two projects that I have in this year. From April, I'm starting one project till July, August, and there is one more in Scotland. I will do that, and then I completely dedicate 1 year, most probably, or 6 to 7 or 8 months for this play that I want
Mhm.
to do.
Oh, wow.
That's so far my plan. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, are you allowed to talk about those projects that you were going to shoot in Scotland for, or?
Yeah, I guess one I can talk about a little bit. It's a film will be directed by Praval Raman,
Oh,
by the same producer who produced Footprints on Water, and the other is producers. I'm not allowed to speak. I have signed a what do you call
NDA.
that, NDA.
NDA,
But
non-disclosure.
producers are from a film of Oscar winner film, and this would be my most, I guess, the biggest film in terms of not the budget only, budget wise, in the lead. I've done
Oh,
bigger films, not in the lead, but this is in the lead, and yeah, will be shot soon. Starting mostly in April.
wow. Well, that sounds extremely, extremely exciting. I think
Thank you.
as always, it's just so wonderful. I mean, to see you on screen and to see your excellence and your mastery in acting as it is,
Thank
it's a big delight. And I think to even have a conversation with you about life and acting and philosophy and all of these aspects, I think it's a dream for any interviewer and any journalist. So, Adil, so thank you so much for joining me on Filme Shilmy. It's been a long wish of mine to have a proper, meaningful conversation with someone as masterful as yourself. So, thank you so much for joining me.
thank you so much, and to 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 let me speak. Thank you.
It's been wonderful, and I can't wait. Hopefully, it'll be wonderful to catch up with you as well whenever the projects
Yes,
transpire,
yes,
whenever it's ready.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
I have your number now, Anuj, so we'll be in touch.
absolutely, sir.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Super
much, sir.
wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.